spicy, mild, or somewhere in the middle. Answering all your questions, so turn it up a little. It's a meat dude. Yeah, it's a meat dude. Yeah.
Episode 1-3. We are at 13. We did not golf in league against each other, but this weekend Spencer took a serious beat down at Red Trail Links.
I did.
Yeah.
That was probably, I gotta say, the wind was brutal.
Oh yeah.
I think I was chilled to the bone all day. But
I
it's
had
fun.
electric socks on. So
You had electric socks. You had electric hand warmers.
I'm
You
old,
came
I'm
prepared.
wise.
You had 3 layers on.
Yes.
I did not come prepared.
Yeah.
It was a rough. I think I had one nice shot. You even captured it on camera.
Yeah.
Posted it on the
video. Yeah. Shout out the Red Trail Links par 3 tournament this weekend. Super fun, hitting over not necessarily obstacles, but taking a different approach towards golf, where you're having to hit flop shots or under something or through something. Super fun time.
Turning 9 holes into 18 was interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't know what to expect first time that I played it.
Yeah.
It was, I mean, whoever designed those holes, hats off to them.
Yeah.
Because that looks like a nightmare to get it figured out. But
Yeah.
they did a fantastic job. It was a fun tournament. I mean, we still had some 205 par 3s, I think was the longest hole.
Yep.
And then down to like 85.
Yep.
So
there was even a 43-yarder one there where we had to hit the flop shot over. So that was
right.
Yeah, that was a lot of
fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, super fun. If no one knows, there's a golf course in New Salem. We love to go there. We're both members in the league and everything. So check out Red Trail Links. Another shout out. Well, we'll be able to do meat of the week this week. So we had some submissions last week. We were trying to get people to send in stuff, what they're cooking, what they're eating, what different recipes, just kind of get that interaction going. And we had a gentleman who put in a brisket who you said is Meat Dude approved.
Has been Meat Dude approved, yeah. Looks like they used a pellet smoker, which...
Asterisks.
Meat Dude approved, asterisk, used the pellet smoker. We just got to use a little note on that. But bark looks great, color looks great. We got to reach back out to that person after they find out that they're Meat Dude approved and get some internal pictures and see what that bad boy looked like. Using probes, I think there's 2 probes in that picture. That's ideal. I think using technology, especially in the barbecue world, especially something touchy like brisket that takes forever. I like to see people using that. So great submission. I hope we continue to get more. It's fun to see what everybody's using tool-wise, how they're doing it, cooking, making great products for family and friends. So
yeah, absolutely. So thank you, Ryan, sending out his meat, letting us check it out. Not weird or nothing. All right. Well, we got Mr. Phil Newman on standby from Mema Meats in Berthold, North Dakota. I want to welcome you on, Phil.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm excited to be here.
Cool. Well, like what we were talking about earlier, you have so far knocked it out of the park with the backdrop with you got your kills and you got the pheasant and you got it almost looks like you're on vacation. So yeah, there you go. Way to finish it off with a little whiskey. That's the way to do it.
Well, it says you can't be cool, look cool, and I'm not very cool. So.
Well, you look it, my friend.
Yeah, that's awesome. You could have fooled us, I guess.
So Phil and I, we were on the board together. When I was president, Phil was vice president. What fun things did we get into when we served on the board together? Oh, we presented at NDLA, North Dakota Livestock Alliance, together.
Mm-hmm.
That was fun. Last week was the 2026 convention, and I told Phil, you're not much into the social media or media of the world, right?
No, we have not been, but we need to try to amp our game up a little bit there for sure.
So Saturday night at the banquet, I told Phil, I want you to join us on the podcast. I think your story, which we'll get to in a second, I think is really unique and really cool. But the asterisk that I had was that you had to wear that sweet white felt cowboy hat.
That's 100% all beaver. Don't call it felt.
Oh, sorry.
I'll
Well,
come throat punch you.
you came through and you look awesome. So.
I thought you were going to say he has never seen a podcast, which would have been kind of
Well,
funny.
he hadn't. I
Exactly.
had to send him a link this week just so he got a feel for it.
Not being good at the whole social media thing, and this is the first time I've ever. I had a granddaughter that says, "You're going to be on a podcast," and I said, "Yep." She goes, "How do I find that?" And I said, "I have no idea. I don't know what podcast is.
Yeah,
I'm just showing up." So.
That's pretty awesome. Well, you guys can learn together. It'll be fun. She can teach you, kind of how it's all breaks down, and you can find yourself out there. That'll be cool. So you have a very unique story that brought you into the butcher world. You had cows and you had hogs and you had a trucking company out in the oil field. Tell us a little bit about what kind of got you in the direction of meat processing world.
I'll try not to make it too long, but I broke out in the oil field in 2008 in Vernal, Utah. I was transferred to North Dakota in 2010. Worked for a boy that was raised in the mountains. Most of my summers were spent above 6,500 feet. When I got in North Dakota, I looked around and I thought, where's the trees and the terrain variation? My dog ran away 3 days ago, but I can still see him out there right now. And I would have told you there was no way in the world that I wanted to ever retire or stay in North Dakota. But I started my own trucking company in 2013, and then in 2020 when oil field, I had just moved into a shop. We built 80 by 100 and 8,000 square foot shop. We had pull-through bays, had a wash bay, had a service pit. I was running 8 trucks out of there. I had 6 guys working in my shop, and in December of 2019, I'd have told you that 2020 was going to be the year that we were finally going to do some good. By February of that year, when COVID hit, the world turned upside down, as we all know. I was looking at my guys thinking, well, now what the hell are we going to do? And was looking for anything in the trucking industry to try to make a living. Couldn't find anything in the agricultural. All my equipment was oil field specific. My son-in-law and I, Jared, we took a trip down to Odessa, Texas, to pick up a couple of loads, and we came back, dropped them off in Killdeer, came back to Minot for the night, grabbed another one of my guys, turned around, headed to Aberdeen, hauled some wrecked train cars to Sioux Falls, and when we sat down for dinner that night, after about 6,000 miles in a day cab winch truck in a week, I looked at Jared and I said, we got to figure something out. This over-the-road trucking thing is not going to work for me. And I had 7 pigs that I was raising at my house and 3 beef, basically for our family. And I couldn't get butcher dates for them. And Jared had a little bit of background in the meat processing world down in Kansas when he was a kid. And he says, why don't we open a butcher shop? And I said, well, there's probably worse ideas. And some.
Is that how everybody gets in?
Come to find out, there was not a worse idea, but I knew that there was a need in the area, and somehow over a decade, my wife Kim and I, who is also known as, she is known as Mema to all of my all of my grandkids. That's how we came up with Mema's Meats. And we decided we'd somehow fallen in love with North Dakota, the people, the atmosphere, the agricultural environment, and we just love it here. And all I could think about when I knew that the trucking thing needed to change, I had a shop that still needed payment made on it. I went, well, I want something sustainable that we can potentially hand down through the generations that will be of service to our community. And so we sat down. I actually jumped in a pickup truck. I visited probably between about 15 and 18 butcher shops in North Dakota, another 3 or 4 in Montana, and another 3 in Utah over the course of the next 2 or 3 months. Gathered all the information that I could, took a bunch of pictures, talked to a lot of butchers, met some of the nicest people in the world. And I actually think butchers are some of the nicest individuals that you could ever come across. And that's because, once or twice a week, we get to relieve all that pent up frustration and stress by killing things. So we met a lot of nice guys, gave me information. I sent everything that I'd gathered up to a consultant that had done some work for me in the trucking industry. Said, John, can we make any money at this? And he goes, well, you're never going to be rich, but you'll make a living. And the one thing that I thought at that point was, in all reality, with COVID and the way the world was working right at that point, was, you know what, if I'm part of the food chain, I'll always be able to feed my family, and our community that surrounds us will be able to help them make it through this whole life-changing era in the country. And so that's what we did. We started building, and we converted a truck shop into a butcher shop inside of about 4 or 5 months, and we opened in December of 2020.
That's awesome. That's awesome. That's being handed lemonade or lemons and making lemonade, no doubt. Making the most of it.
So, how hard was it to? I mean, you build an 8,000 square foot facility that is devoted to trucking. How hard was it to, inside that building, make it into an efficient, productive
how
butcher
tall were the
shop?
walls? You know, like, do you have to build in some big walls?
Unbeknownst to me, when I designed the truck shop, I had some pretty specific ideas, and we needed a second level to put a change room in, parts area, break room area. So we did 20-foot sidewalls in the shop, and luckily, and so it was fairly easy, but we basically had to build a building inside of the building, because the walls, the ceilings, they were not cleanable, sanitizable, that are the requirements for a state inspected or federally inspected facility. And so we had to make those adjustments, and we framed up our butcher shop inside of the inside of the truck shop. We left all of our utilities, all the water, the power, anything that needed to be exposed on the outside of that building, which is in the inside of the shop. And so we've still got access to it. We can change things. If I need to run some more power, we can run it and drop it through the walls wherever we need to.
Cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
So your Mema's is state inspected, has been since day one or shortly after day one, plus your retail exempt shop, right? Anything else you guys got going on?
We were recently just accepted into the CIS program, so technically we're federally inspected. We get to keep our state inspector, so that's
Awesome.
been kind of a fun and exciting thing for us.
So CIS is Cooperative Interstate Shipment Program. So yeah, it's essentially, as Phil just said, state inspection agency, but you have the same ability that a federal plant does. So you can ship stuff to Montana or South Dakota or Minnesota or wherever. So awesome. Yeah, that you're probably one of the, I think there's probably only 5 or 6 in the state that are CIS right now.
I believe so.
Yeah. Awesome.
So do you have a lot of competition around your area, or did you pick that because you were already there? I mean, were you already living there? Did you kind of find a good spot for it?
There's a few small custom butcher spots. There wasn't anybody that was doing a huge amount of volume, mostly just 4 or 5. The closest one, I think you've had Alex on from Mema Meats down in Parshall, which is roughly about an hour south of us, or, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
And I think they do about 10 a week, or give or take a few. I thought kind of our happy place was going to end up being in the 12 to 15 a week is kind of what I based my numbers on. And we ended up, didn't take us much more than a year, and we kind of blew right past that. And we do about 20 a week. We average just under 1,000 head of beef a year, and somewhere between 400 and 450 pigs.
Wow. Nice. Staying busy, no doubt. Need a facility that size to move through that kind of product, I suppose.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
we hang our beef 18. I sized my coolers. We hang our beef for 18 to 20 days before we cut them as well.
So I mean, 8,000. Your shop was 8,000 square feet. What's your butcher shop equate to?
I left about 2,000 square foot. It's built in a little bit of a horseshoe around the outside between the office, the actual production, the coolers, and the kill floor is roughly, and then we actually did a lean-to on the exterior of the building. We put our freezers outside, and all total, probably about 7,600 square feet is dedicated to the butcher shop.
Awesome.
Sweet.
It's a substantial square footage.
Can move some stuff. Well, yeah, when you're thinking trucks, massive.
Yeah.
Now all of a sudden you're like, well, that was good. You didn't underbuild like most people. Like usually you'd go and do that butcher shop. You might not have built it that big going into it because you were planning on 12 instead of 20.
Right.
Correct.
Yes.
We overbuilt it, thinking that gave us a little bit of room for growth. Unfortunately, we filled up that with our growth. And originally, all the butchers that I talked to, their bottleneck usually was their freezer and how much space can we put into it. So I went bigger than what I thought. I did 30 by 20, so 600 square feet there. And we ended up adding another freezer, which was the only spot that I could take in that loadout area where we have customers that they can just back in. It's actually a garage area that they can back right up. We roll their product out of the freezer, load it right into their car. Doesn't matter if it's raining, snowing, blowing, any of the North Dakota weather. And we can do it out of the elements. And we took the little bit that we had and had another about 11 by 24 section of freezer space there. And I still wish I had some more than that. But
you can never have enough. We just added a 40 by 15 freezer a year ago, about 2 years ago. And I look at it every day and I'm like, how did we ever get by without this? Because now it's like, now both freezers are full, and it's like, how did we ever do this without the second freezer? So, but it does. I think it kind of gives you, in my head, it gives you just a little more relaxed feeling of like, hey, I got all the room in the world, and then all of a sudden you don't.
Well, then you go back to efficient mode. Like we got to move.
It fills up faster than the guy thinks.
Goodness, it sure does.
So did you submit anything into the convention last week? I know the meat dude came home with some Grand Champion country style sausage. Did you put anything in, Phil?
I did. I think we got second place in, which division was it? I think it was the specialty division with jalapeno cheddar summer sausage.
Oh, wow. That's good.
By the points, had my bacon been 4 ounces heavier and not got disqualified, I think I would have been in second place on the bacon. So I was 4 ounces off.
I did hear a note from one of the judges was, unfortunately, the best bacon in the class we had to disqualify because they didn't follow the instructions.
They didn't follow the directions.
4 ounces off. So
man, I hate rules. I tell you what.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, we had a really good showcase last weekend. I think probably the biggest that ND Amp has had in the last 3 years. It was awesome. We had a lot of really qualified judges judging the product show last week, or that was 2 weekends ago already. That we usually can't get. That it was awesome to see. So it was a really good show.
I'm still learning the loopholes with the meat convention product show. I come from a competition cooking background in Utah. I used to do a lot of Dutch oven cooking. But as far as the butcher shop world and competition in the meat world, I'm only a few years in on that. I'm still learning on a daily basis what I think more along the lines of what sells for my retail area. Mm-hmm. And I don't pay quite as much attention to what the judges are looking for sometimes. So
yeah, for sure, and that's why like the product it is different. That we've always said, because I've ran the product show for, well, even back when we were damp, I ran the product show, and so I do know the ins and outs of it really, really well. But
So that's why
it's to take a product that everybody is doing a fantastic job of making and creating a friendly competition out of it.
Yeah.
And just because you don't win a class doesn't mean that product isn't outstanding. Yeah. It's more friendly competition, and you get to really analyze it on a I like to analyze it on like a per step basis, and it's really fun to see. Like you look at the class, and Phil is running what type of smokehouse do you run, Phil?
I've got an Enviro pack.
So I know Phil's running an Enviro pack. I'm running a Smith over here. This company is running a Pro Smoker. This one's running a Monting, and it's so interesting to look at the differences and how a smokehouse can drastically affect the product and mixing times and stuff. There's just so many variables that everybody can create amazing products. It's just kind of a friendly competition to see what a judge who's trained to analyze those tiny, tiny little details that most customers don't even think about, and create a competition out of it. So.
Yeah, you take those guys and put them in a normal restaurant. I'm assuming they're they're the sender backers. Like my grandpa, I swear he'd send something back all the time. I'd be like, well, this is this and this is that, a little too particular maybe.
Yeah.
But that's what good judging is.
Spencer, I count you as one of the smart guys. So when I went to open a butcher shop, and I had people ask me, they're like, have you ever done this before? I was like, well, I hunt. I've killed a few things. I cut a couple things up. I think we're qualified. We can figure this out.
Right.
But in one of your episodes, I was listening to you talk about your new venture, and you were talking about the protein extraction and, the bite and, all the things that goes into making a quality product that, people want to eat. And one of my favorite sayings is, if you're going to eat, you might as well eat good. And so the knowledge that you got because you went to school for this is amazing. I wish I could just tap into you, take a couple pages out of your book. I'm slowly but surely learning it, but I don't have that background so much as I do just what I know, what I like, what goes into my stomach at the end of the day. So
right. Yeah, and that's what's fun about the butchering world is you can pick it up, right? Mm-hmm. And you can kind of replicate processes and stuff. But then what I really enjoy is diving deep into why we do the things we do, what differentiates product A from product B, a lot of the times it's tiny little things like 30 seconds in a mixer or the type of mixer. There's just so much fun stuff to dive into. But we could talk for hours on sausage making, Phil, but probably not on the podcast.
Yeah, we'll need too many refills at that point.
Yeah, no kidding.
We did get not necessarily a question, but one of our listeners, since he was intrigued with meat of the week, he sent us. He's a butcher himself. He's been submitting some of these to Isaac. He sent a picture of a beef, and now he wanted to know a question for both you guys. Talking the largest, basically carcass or beef or animal that you guys have had to deal with. I'm going to throw up a picture right here that is a quarter of beef is the same size as an 800-pound carcass, which I think is pretty mammoth.
Yeah, that's huge.
So at that point, when animals get that big, does it still stay necessarily proportional? Or when a cow gets to a certain size, is there one thing that gets bigger and the rest is there? You know what I'm saying?
Before we get to that,
Okay.
Phil, I want you to biggest animal carcass. Let's just narrow it down to beef that you can think of in the last 5 years that you've done at Memas.
Largest bull that we ever did railed at 1,706 pounds. The largest steer we ever did was 1,560.
Jeez.
The biggest bull.
This is like a fishing story. I like this.
This is kind of a fishing story. The biggest bull that we did, and it was within the first 3 months that we were open, we were still custom exempt. Our carcass scale, we only weigh 1/2 at a time, and our carcass scale has a max weight of 1,000 pounds, and it wouldn't read the weight of this bull. Both halves zeroed the scale out, and that thing it wasn't dragging on the ground. This thing was just built. I mean, this bull had been in the feedlot for way too long. But so I tell everybody that it's 2,000, but I don't actually have a weight on it because our scale could not weigh it. And then I know, Phil, I swear I remember having a phone call. I think you sent me a picture of some massive hog that you did. Didn't you? Or am I?
Yeah, that one. Oh, I want to say that one railed at like 660 pounds, I think.
That's a hog.
That's a big hog.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you were still short on the ounce of bacon, huh?
I can't tell you the biggest bull that we ever did, the one that railed 1,760. His name was Buddy. When he came off of the trailer, I was like, oh dear Lord, what are we going to do with that thing? And so I'm tapping him on the butt with the stick, try and get him to move. And he didn't want to go anywhere. And the producer leaned up against the back end of him and started pushing him. And he's like, come on, buddy, let's go. And he says, I didn't bring your halter. And I looked at him and I said, Josh, what did you just say? And he says, I didn't bring his halter. I'm like, he's halter broke? So I went and got a 2-inch ratchet strap and I wrapped it around the back of his neck, and then I half hitched it around his nose, and I led him into the pen with that. I halter led that bull in.
That's a
and I was like, oh, for heaven's sakes.
That's funny.
Well, yeah, I can't imagine. I mean, what's the average right now? What are you seeing?
The average in our facility on like every animal that we kill is like 730 to 750.
Yeah, so just
whole carcass.
Mammoth. Wow. So yeah, the
On
hog was almost
an annual basis, I'd say ours is right there about that mid-7s as well. It's been a couple of years since I've totaled it up, but when I first started doing it, that's about right. We were as mid-7s. That's just an average carcass.
And that's a lot of like 850s and then a lot of like 600s. So
yeah, but that's your ideal weight when you want to harvest them or basically slaughter them.
Yeah, I'd say 800 is that's 12 to 1,300 pounds live.
So back to what I was asking, 2,000-pound cow, it's horrible to eat?
No.
Or no? But you said it was in the feedlot too long. You should have just
that's just my personal opinion.
There's
a lot of fat that went in the barrels. There's a lot of wasted product. But on a logistical standpoint, our facility, Phil, I don't know about yours, but our facility is not set up to cut beef that big. Even if they're pushing 1,000 pounds hanging, I'm like crossing my fingers that our carcass drops and our trolleys and everything is gonna make it through the whole process before it hits the table. And that bull was so unique because it wasn't long enough that it was touching the ground, because if they do touch the ground, well then we got a lot more problems to deal with, because again we hang in halves, not quarters. So our facility isn't quite designed to handle that massive of beef. But
what's your rail height, Spencer?
I don't even know off the top of my head, Phil.
We're 12 and a half. So
yeah,
I was gonna say it's taller than a basketball hoop that when you reeled it in on episode whatever.
Yeah. I mean they're tall. Dairy cows are the only ones that sometimes get even close, but we've never had a beef that's drug on the floor. So, but I don't know what they are off the top of my head, how tall they are. So,
not yet.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, that's Mema Meats, Berthold, North Dakota. We had Phil. Once again, tell me the story on that deer with the rack. Real quick.
That deer is that a good? I mean,
I think it's great. Yeah, perfect.
That that deer represents a lesson in patience to me that was way out of my realm. I'm not a very good hunter because I get impatient. I want to rush things. That was taken on the Friday. No, let's see. No, it would have been, was that Thanksgiving morning? I'm looking at my wife right now. No, I think that was actually taken on, I think we were doing Thanksgiving a day late. So sorry, I'm just trying to remember which day it was. We were doing it on Friday or Saturday, just because of our family stuff. And I had gone out. I told her, I said, you know what? It would have been the Sunday after Thanksgiving, now that I think about it, because it was the last day of the hunt. And I hadn't had much time. And I knew I'd been out in this spot. I had blown a whole bunch of deer out in the same spot the weekend before with my son. And I told the wife, I said, I'm just going to go out for a couple, 3 hours. If I don't have anything going, I'll come home. We'll finish up getting you ready for dinner. And I called her at about 8:30 in the morning, and I said, I was very quiet. I was tucked into a nice little spot, and I said, I think I found one. I got one working here. I said, what time is it? And she goes, don't worry about it. She said, you just take your time and do what you need to do. And I stared through a scope for about an hour and a half through a 2-inch hole watching him. The first time I saw him, he was kind of in some trees, and I could see the body of the deer, looked at it from the side. I didn't even recognize the fact that it was a buck until he moved his head, and I thought it was the trees blowing and the wind was his rack. I was like, wait a second, that's a good sized deer. And I watched him go over a hill. So I put myself in a little better position. I had waited. I moved to a better position. And just as I got to that, poked my head up over a hill just enough with the binoculars, saw him sitting there. And I watched him bed down. And had I looked at that spot 10 seconds later, I would have never seen him. Yeah. I just happened to see him at the right time, and I watched him bed down in some reeds. And all I could see was the top 3 or 4 inches of his antlers and the sun glint off of them. Just barely move here, just a little bit. That's the only reason I knew. And I stared at that spot for about an hour and a half. And I was just getting antsy enough. And Kim had told me, she says, don't get in a rush, just take your time. And I had gone from the scope to the binoculars, to the scope to the binoculars, back and forth. And then I said to myself, I need to just stare through the scope because he's disappeared that quick twice on me already. I better be ready when he stands up. I need to be ready. And so I just stared in that one spot until he gave me the opportunity to take him and harvest him. So that was a pretty good high point. When I finally got it done, I was elated, actually. When I got to him, he was bigger than what I actually thought he was when I had initially shot him. I knew he was big, but I didn't know he was that big.
That's a nice deer.
Yeah, even when you get that little white patch going, it's made its rounds.
So you tell yourself that story every day at work, just like be patient, be patient, be patient.
No, that was years of dealing with truck drivers that got me to that.
He's looking at his employee through a scope right now, right? Be patient, right?
Be patient.
No, that's awesome. Well, yeah, we appreciate your time, Phil. Mema Meats, Berthold, North Dakota. Check them out online. We'll.
Phil will get his social media game back up.
Yeah, up the ante, man. Get your grandkids rolling on that thing. They're going to go TikTok live or something weird I don't even know about. And you guys will be blowing up. It'll be great.
Yeah. Well, we hope to be doing that sometime soon. So.
No, that's cool. We'll appreciate the time.
Yeah, thanks for the great stories and great hunting story.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was awesome, Phil.
Absolutely.
Well, Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Any of the listeners, any questions or anything, ask the meatdude@gmail.com, and then remember to submit your cooks and meat of the week anywhere in our Facebook or YouTube or send it to Spencer or my phone, whatever you guys want to do. Send the submissions. We'll get them where they got to go. And then you can also, too, be Meat Dude approved. Episode 13. I'm Patrick. That's Phil. That's Spencer. Out. We're out. See you later.
That sure smells good. Firing it up in the backyard, cracking one. It's time to chill. From the ranch to the steak, take it from the farm and put it on your plate. It's the Meat Dude, yeah. It's the Meat Dude, yeah. All the degrees from universities, bringing science in on how hot it's supposed to be. It's the Meat Dude, yeah. It's the Meat Dude, yeah. Spicy, mild, or somewhere in the middle. Answering all your questions, so turn it up a little. It's a Meat Dude, yeah. It's a Meat Dude, yeah.